This man needs no introduction. You know who it is.
He's
the
back.
Man, the myth, the legend with the goatee.
Right.
It is Leroy Hoard. What's up, Leroy?
He's
What's
back.
happening? What's happening, fellas?
Why you?
What's going on?
That's a very interesting pullover you chose.
Why not?
Did you
But-
do
but-
it intentionally?
No, I didn't do it intentionally, but guess what? You already know. Shh. Be quiet. Shh. Be quiet. Shh. Nothing.
Hey, listen. Wait a minute. Hold on. What do you mean, be quiet? I'm 4-0. What are you talking about?
Oh, we going back to old stuff?
I'm just saying. You can't say nothing.
If it wasn't for Ohio State,
me, I'm 4-0.
If it wasn't for Ohio State, I wouldn't have gotten into the league. But that last game, I caught on 150 and 2 touchdowns. And this guy can play. Just saying.
Hey.
I thank everybody at Ohio State every time I see them. Thank you. They say, "What are you thanking us for?" Because if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't have got to the league.
Hey,
I like the gray beard on Leroy there.
The man is sick.
Ohio State that helped Leroy. He done upgraded his set on y'all.
That's probably why. That's why his background is red. He got the red in the back.
I had nothing to do with that.
Hey, Leroy, how's the hand, by the way? I know you had surgery right before we left you there.
It's okay. It's okay. It's I have a rod sticking down my thumb, so yeah, exactly.
Leroy, are you prepared for the fantasy draft today?
I'm as prepared as I could ever be to not come in last. That's all I'm prepared for.
That's funny.
Like we ain't doing. Hey, we ain't doing a whole lot of prepping for this draft, but I'm gonna tell you this.
Yeah.
As long as there's 12 people, somebody gonna be dumber than me, right? As far as they pick, like they gonna try to pick. Ooh, my cousin said he gonna be good this year. I'm gonna go ahead on and pick him. Yeah, so I don't worry about it.
By the way, we were spitballing new punishments for last place, and we came up with something.
What's up?
So whoever finishes dead last is going to have to make a music video in which the rest of us pick the song they have to sing.
Ooh.
That's crazy.
Oh, man. All right.
Look at him.
That's crazy.
I'm just thinking about how that's going to look for some of y'all. I'm good.
Leroy, let's get to the Browns here. The season's about to begin. The expectations are through the roof once again. I mean, I feel like the excitement level from fans, I haven't seen this in a long time. There's been excitement the last few years, but this is crazy now. Everybody's all in on Watson. They surround the talent across the board is really good. As much talent as the Browns have had. Is it playoffs or bust for the Cleveland Browns this year, in your mind?
Yes, but here's why. You're on the wrong side of the ball, brother. It ain't the offense that been failing you. It's the defense getting run all over.
Whoa.
Fair.
You got stout up the middle. Okay. And that is going to be the attitude change because Schwartz does not play. The attitude change on the other side of the ball is what's going to make the difference. Deshaun Watson's going to have a few more, he's got some games under his belt. The offense is going to have some kind of continuity. I just hope that, a lot of times when you get a new car, you want to drive it, even if it's raining or snowing. And I think that you got to stick with your bread and butter. The bread and butter of this team, one of the reasons why they're one of the best running teams in the league is because they run the football. If you ever get your team in a situation and try to outsmart everybody, then shame on you. Mm-hmm. So it can start there. If you run the football well, Deshaun Watson's numbers going to be through the roof. And that's what people need to understand, that what he can do with his feet, what he can do on play action, those things create space for everybody down the field. But if you just drop him back, then you playing in the defenses. If you drop it back 30, 40 times without no resemblance of a run game, then they just going to rush the quarterback. Well, nobody can play under those circumstances. I don't care how good your offensive line is.
Well, Leroy, you know that Kevin Stefanski came out on the podcast and said, back in the day where you had to run to set up the pass, he passes to set up the run now.
Oh, boy.
That's what he said. Not necessarily. Patrick Mahomes don't set up the run.
Okay, do they have a Nick Chubb in their backfield?
Nope.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Thank you. Nick Chubb is one of one. You ain't setting Nick Chubb up. He helping set you up. Don't get it twisted. Your success rides on Nick Chubb's success. Because when Nick Chubb gets off, the whole team gets off. Am I right or am I making this up?
No, you're right.
So I want to understand how coaches been around football their whole life and just gonna dismiss Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I don't think he
dismiss him like he's boo-boo the fool. Like he's average. Like he's a scrub. I'll wait. Go ahead, tell me. I'll wait.
I don't think he dismissed it, though. I think that.
Sound like he does. Look, you got a Lamborghini in Cleveland, but it's snowing, buddy.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, that Lamborghini. Better go get your 4x4.
So you saying this year we're going to see Nick Chubb carry the ball 20-plus times majority of the games?
No, I'm not saying. Look, I'm not saying that there's a number, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks when I say you got to run the ball to set up the pass that you need to have one guy run for 25, 30. No, I'm not saying that at all. But you can't start the game dropping back 3 times without Nick Chubb touching the ball. And then when you screw up on first down, then you try to get it to a reasonable third down by handing to Nick Chubb. Because that's what coaches do.
Yeah.
They come out on first down and say, "Oh, we're gonna trick him. We're gonna throw a pass," and then you're 2nd and 10, and they say, "Okay, let's run Nick Chubb and get reasonable." Everybody in the damn world can figure that out. I ain't no rocket scientist, and we see it in football every week.
Hey, Leroy, how concerned are you about the depth behind Nick Chubb? Because we know how great he is, but there's a lot of question marks in that running back room behind him. What are you concerned about that?
No, because you know what? We've seen Ford play, right? We've seen some of these guys play.
Yeah, a little bit.
And
preseason.
Yeah, but still. Those guys have a great idea of what these guys can do. All right? It is not, see, one of the reasons why you let guys go is because you have somebody behind them that could do that job cheap.
Yeah.
So that's why it's okay. It's okay. So when we see Nick Chubb and we see somebody that needs a break, all right, we talking about spot play. We ain't talking about maybe they got to start a couple of games out of the year. That's okay. Then maybe your game plan changes a little bit. But as long as Nick Chubb is in the Browns uniform, and as long as he's being Nick Chubb, it starts and ends with him. Don't go to Nick Chubb when you got a 1-point lead in 4 minutes and he had 3 carries and say, "Okay, go get us a first and end the game." No, he's not that dude. He's the dude that you start your offense with. He's always been that guy. He's proven that he could do it. So for anybody to come in and say, "Oh, we throw the ball to set up Nick Chubb," it's laughable. It's laughable. I'm just telling you.
Now, Leroy, on the other end of the spectrum, we look at the Cincinnati Bengals. They obviously got 3 very good receivers. Denzel Ward is in the concussion protocol. If Denzel cannot play, how does that change what Jim Schwartz wants to do? Is he still going to rely on that front 4? Or is he going to, how is he going to, adjust to having one of those guys running free in the back end if you don't have one of your best corners?
I think you're going to have to be more creative. Now, this is my own personal belief. If you got a guy that can't cover, you better blitz. Because you better get to the quarterback quick, right? That's protecting your soft spot. If you leave Joe Burrow back there to just pat the ball and pick it don't matter who you are. You ain't going to be able to cover that long. I will say this, though. I'll say that I like what they did at D-tackle to try to get some pressure up the middle. That plagued them last year. They couldn't get no pressure up the middle. None. So hopefully that changes things a little bit to get, Joe Burrow and all these quarterbacks off their spot. And then when you get off their spot and they can't step up and they roll out, guess who you got out there? That's how you play to your strengths. So I want to see it. I want to see, how it all plays out. I want to see those changes along with the more aggressive defense. If you're an aggressive defense, that means your corners ain't got to cover that long. If you play zone, you're asking for problems with 3 guys running in your secondary like that. And Joe Burrow can find them. So you got to decide, I don't know, you just got to figure it out. That's why they get the big bucks. They get the big bucks to figure out how can we exploit this O-line while still be able to cover those 3 dudes.
Well, when you look at, I don't know, I guess Joe Burrow's going to play, but let's say if he did not play.
He's playing.
Just say he did. Bull. Let's just say he did.
No, he's going to play.
Yeah, let's just say he didn't play.
Yeah.
Last year when, who was it? Didn't a receiver didn't play and it messed up the whole game plan or something?
Well.
What was that?
Yeah, last year, I don't know if you remember this, Leroy, but so the Bengals and Browns are the second time they played last year. In the game the Bengals won. Tyler Boyd was out for the game, and on one of the first plays of the game, T. Higgins got hurt and was out for the rest of the game. And after the game, their defensive back coach, the Browns defensive backs coach, said, "Yeah, it really affected us negatively that T. Higgins got hurt because we were prepared to face him." Which we thought was one of the dumbest things ever. Do you remember him saying that?
I don't, because I probably would have commented like I did about the Nick Chubb thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to just be honest with you. Look, look, I don't want nobody to be hurt, but if there was every time I lined up and didn't have to deal with LT, I'm like, them's the breaks. I look good. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing they say with me. Oh, Leroy ain't playing? Okay. One less dude I got to deal with. So it's part of the game, but I would never. You saying because everybody wasn't helped? Wait. So let me get this straight.
I'm trying to find the soundbite, Leroy, because it is.
He's saying
it was wild.
He's saying
it was wild.
No. Hold on.
It just hit him. It just hit him.
It just hit me. He said because one of their top guys was out.
2 of them.
It was 2 of them. It was harder for us to figure out.
Because Chase went off for a huge game, and we were like,
double him.
Why you
triple him?
Because
it was wild.
So he's still coaching DBs?
We broke Leroy's brain.
He dumbfounded.
I think he's gone now.
He's
got
out
the
of
clip
here.
or no?
I'm looking for it.
I'm telling
Let
you.
me talk about this. Leroy, you...
Like you were saying,
I ain't
wait a
never
minute.
heard.
Wait. Let's put it in that different position. If tomorrow night Patrick Holmes get slam his finger in the door and can't play, and Kansas City still win, is Detroit gonna say, "Yeah, Patrick Holmes not playing, threw us off"?
Yeah.
Do you understand? Do you understand what you're saying?
That's it.
What are we doing? You don't.
on point
Can I
today.
say something? You don't always have to talk. You always have to. Just because somebody asks you a question, you don't always have to talk.
Yeah,
Because
good point.
look, most coaches will say this: it don't matter who's over there. We got to execute. We had to play better, right?
Here's
Easy
the clip,
answer.
Leroy.
Get out of there.
We got the clip. Let's hear it. Here, you
Hold
can
on.
hear it.
When I say I got it, Anthony has to load it. So just give me like 7 seconds
Well,
to load it up.
give you
I got another question for you.
No, don't ask the
Yeah,
question.
all
right, I'll
Let's
wait.
go to the
We have the
I'll
clip.
wait.
Steve, take the clip.
Here
This
it
is
is.
from last year. This is Jeff Howard. Is tag word not going to work, Ant?
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
He looked like he was getting ready to say something ridiculous.
When I see it, I said, yeah, anyways. All right,
What
so
are we doing?
Can I let me ask you this question and we'll circle back.
Yeah.
The Browns linebackers, 2 of the 3 starters haven't played in the preseason at all with A-Walk and Taki because both of them are coming off of injuries.
Injuries.
Yeah, and you know that the Bengals offensive line got better this offseason. Joe Mixon is trying to have a good season. Does that concern you at all, or do you think that this D-line is so good with Jim Schwartz that it really won't matter that much?
I think a lot of the stuff, you're going to see a lot of movement. I would guess they do a lot of slanting and stuff.
Yeah.
Don't just, get the guy in front of you. And that's going to allow some of these guys to get free in at the second level. And so you do that and you keep them moving so you make the other guys think. You know what I mean? If you're always shifting and slanting and moving or whatever, like you always got the offensive line thinking. And if you got them thinking, they're not playing. Mm-hmm. Right? So I think a lot of that movement does that. You got some guys that can run. They all can run. They might not be as stout as you would like, but hopefully that speed and quickness along with the movement up front will free them up so it'll just be one-on-one tackling. Mm-hmm. You hope that. Yeah. That's what I think is going to happen. Because just like you said, what if Ward doesn't play? And what are they going to do about the 3 wide receivers and all these different things? You know what you're going to do? You're going to concentrate on that front 7 and hope and do things to get them to the quarterback so that it becomes a tackling drill and not a ball over your head drill.
Mm-hmm. Leroy, Tyvis referenced the Bengals offensive line being better. It's better because they signed Orlando Brown Jr. to play left tackle. Yeah. Of course, you played with his dad. Yep. Talk to us about his dad, of course, and how well do you know Orlando Brown Jr.? I mean, I'm sure you knew him when he was a kid, but...
Yeah, they don't call him Zeus for nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Big boy. I remember when I got done with football, the one thing I remember Big Zeus for is, remember the dude put his eye out with the flag?
Yeah.
Yep.
And he went after him, and we like, oh, man, why he going after him? We didn't realize he damn near lost the sight in his eye. Yep. I think the dude had it coming. I'm going to be honest with you. Them flags are not light.
Yeah.
They tossing them things 30, 40 yards. So, that's what I meant. But if he's anything like his dad, he's a mauler. No nonsense guy. You know what I mean? He bout it. So whatever you bring his way. But I will say, for like Myles Garrett, he gonna have to use speed, right? Speed and quickness. That usually tends to be the antidote for dealing with big tackles. Speed and quickness. So we'll see how that plays out.
Leroy, I during the summer, I was going back watching a lot of the old school Browns games, and I'm talking 89 all the way through 94, 95. And one thing that I noticed was the authentic nature of the home field advantage. Now, I was watching those games and I was getting chills because, I mean, let's be clear, that place was a dump. But
it was terrible.
It was a dump. But you saw people have to come in there and they was really calculating. They couldn't hear. They didn't like being there. They was on these dirt fields.
Yeah.
Is that a product of winning football games and the fan base being behind you, or is that just a special place in time? Because I wonder if it's possible to get that back. Because I thought when you had to come up here and you had a home game in the playoffs, it was a nasty thing and it was a really advantage for the Browns.
I tell you what, it's a tribute to the Cleveland Browns fans. Like, people all around the country don't go park their cars on Friday and Saturday so they could get a good tailgating spot on Sunday and just be without a car. You go downtown on Saturday and Sunday in Cleveland, and the streets used to be packed like there's 1 million people down there, but some people just parking their cars for a good spot. They were committed to it, definitely committed to it. So I think it's a testament to the fans. It was a dump. Let me tell you, we had upstairs and downstairs locker rooms because there wasn't enough room to hold both of them. So they put the starters down on the main floor so the coach could talk to them, and they put the young guys, if you was a rookie or you're a backup, up top. We called it the penthouse, right? So we had a TV up there, everything. So one game we played, it was cold as hell. It was so cold that I wore turf shoes on the grass and never slipped. And everybody was slipping. They go, why you ain't slipping? I say, because plastic on ice don't work, dude. I was the only one that packed my rain shoes with the little knobs on the bottom, the rubber knobs, right? So I was moving. Everybody's like, why are you slipping? Right? This dude ain't slipping. They all on the ice, whatever. So it was so cold. Right, so the game's over. We go upstairs. Now, it was a dump now. There was a hole about this big in the window. And there was only 2 showers up there. So the guys would get in the shower, and then you got to hurry up because it's cold. It was about, I want to say, 30 degrees in the penthouse, right? So we sitting there wait for our turn. We looked at each other and say, I won't tell if you won't. I cut off my tape.
You got dressed?
Put on my clothes and left. It's the only place that was so bad, it made me run home and take a shower.
I'm going to go to the crib. I'm going to wait to the crib to get mine.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Here's the worst part. When, in September, when it's hot, right? You ain't got to worry about if the hot water run out.
Yeah.
But if you about 10th or 11th in the line, right, the other thing that's going to happen is you're going to run out of hot water. Now, I never went downstairs. I didn't want to be downstairs. All my boys was upstairs. So as long as I was in Cleveland, whether I was starting or not, I stayed in the penthouse. The only difference is I was a starter. I could go to the front of the line. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. House rules.
Yeah, house rules. But yeah, it was, and you know what? Who cares if half of the fans had to look at the game like this? around those unnecessary posts that were around the stadium, right? You could have a seat. You could have a seat on like the 40-yard line, up underneath the covering, and be right behind a pole. And those supposed to be good tickets. It was crazy. But yeah, man, all that stuff there, all that stuff you talking about, is one of the reasons why I still to this day have never been in an environment going to a game like I have in Cleveland. It's unbelievable. When you drive to the game as a player, it looked like I always felt I was late because there was so many damn people going to the stadium. Yeah. So, yeah.
Mikey McNuggets, last question for Leroy.
Leroy, we're going to give our official picks for the playoffs and Super Bowl tomorrow, but I want to ask you this before we let you go. Plain and simple, will the Browns make the playoffs in 2023?
Yes. It's crazy because this is the toughest division in football. Bar none.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Pittsburgh going to be in the hunt. I don't care who playing for Pittsburgh. They always seem to be in the hunt. Mm-hmm. Baltimore would have been in the hunt last year if not for Lamar Jackson getting hurt. Now they added weapons. Mm-hmm. And now you got Cleveland with Deshaun Watson and a revamped defense. So, yeah, I think it could be 3 teams go. 3 teams go. I personally think that Buffalo's going to have a letdown because when you get to a certain point in your career, you can only be who you are, right? Now, Josh Allen can change how he tries to run over people, but he can't change running because that's part of what made him who he is. So when he says to me before the season, I'm going to try to sit in the pocket and pass more, the last guy that did that was RG3. Now he in the booth. So I think the Bills going to be the disappointment of this year because their quarterback is talking nonsense.
Leroy, great stuff. Good to have you back, buddy.
Appreciate
we'll talk to you next week.
All right, boys.
All right.
Go Bucks.
All right.
See you this afternoon, Leroy.
We'll see. Leroy's like, I'm going to let that one go for now.
Yeah. Next week, I'll catch you.
All right. Good to talk with Leroy. Great start. He was
on fire.
Full of energy.
He was on fire. Before